and welcome back to another episode of the Epoch podcast. We got a lot of stuff to talk about today with a couple pieces of news coming out regarding multiplayer. But before that, I do have my co-host with me as always.
Hello, this is Dread from Epoch.
No, I want the nice, like, subtle voice. I know your voice is raspy. I want like, hello, this is smooth jazz 97.1.
Hello,
I want that
this
intro.
is Dread from Epic Builds. Is that better?
It's getting there. Anyways, we have a couple things to talk about today. Before we jump into multiplayer stuff, which we have dates confirmed, we have a couple pieces of info dumped to make sure that everyone is on the same page, and we have some links that we'll be putting in the description of this YouTube video and Spotify, and also in Twitch chat if you're watching here live. So first things first, how you been, Dread? I haven't seen you in a while. We haven't had a reason to do a podcast.
I've been great, other than getting sick a week ago. I've been great. It's been really boring, but it's been giving me a lot of time to spend time with the girlfriend and stuff, so it's been great. So
is this the same? You were sick like a week ago? Because I remember you told me that. Have you just been sick the entire time?
Yes, I have been sick this entire week.
Cool, great. That sounds fantastic. Anyway, man, what is it like to be sick for that long?
Well, I don't think I'm sick. I'm just dealing with the aftermath now.
All right, fair enough. What we like to do at the beginning of these podcasts is also talk about the things that we've been up to other than being sick. So I've got my list of video games that I've been playing in the meantime. So we haven't had an update in Last Epoch for like over a year at this point. There's been like balance changes and stuff, but if you've been playing for 1, 2, 3,000 hours, you've probably done the kinds of things that you want to do, which means you're spending time in other games. So just real quick, the games that I've been playing. Played a little bit of Moonlighter. It's like a pixel art roguelike game. It was beautiful and is more fun than I thought it was going to be. I looked up the dev for that game, which led me to play a different game, Frostpunk, which is way outside my wheelhouse in terms of games that I normally play. But Frostpunk is like a city builder resource management game. And if you've ever played This War of Mine, which was like a 2014, like a 2011 title, something like that, it's like really depressing. And my favorite thing about Frostpunk is they took all those depressing themes and they made them just a little bit more bearable. So they made you want to continue playing the game instead of go turn off the lights and sit in the corner of your dark room. After that, also been playing a lot of Marble Snap, which is a card game. I was a Magic the Gathering player for a long time, so Marble Snap is just like, whew, really, really fun. It's weird, like it's a pay-to-win game, and I would love to talk about that, but I don't think this is the right podcast for that. I think it's got like an amazing pay-to-win system, and I really like the monetization of that game. So, Dread, I know you and I played a couple games together, but what have you been up to in the meantime?
Oh, so you know that I spent a while in Torchlight Land, spending my time in the pay-to-win world as well. It was okay. I moved on. It was fun. There's a new season in January. I guess I'm going to be playing because I thought that's when multiplayer was going to be, but whatever. After that, I kind of just relaxed, to be honest. I didn't really play that much. I got into Vermintide because of a friend's recommendation. Then I ended up playing Darktide with him as well. And of course, that game was fun. It had a lot of problems in terms of like stability and stuff, but as soon as like it was actually able to be launchable, it was great. You just kill a bunch of hordes of enemies. It's based on Warhammer 40k lore, which is great. Now, one of the biggest updates recently, for at least for me, Gunfire Reborn had a really large update.
I was going to say, speaking of infinite hordes of monsters, you and I played that together.
Yeah, they added an update for Gunfire Reborn that essentially turns it into Vampire Survivors. And it is really, really fun and really, really difficult. And then after that, 3.20 came around, and now I'm preparing for the Path of Exile League, which I will probably play till January or whatever. That's been it.
You totally reminded me of something, and it's like half of my social media feed at this point. I would be remiss not to mention, you said like you haven't been playing many games, you've been doing other stuff. I started making bread, and I make sourdough bread now. And I could have a whole podcast episode talking about making sourdough bread. I am in deep in sourdough world.
It could be
Like
the April Fool's
3/4 of my
episode.
YouTube right now is just sourdough bread. Oh, it's so much fun.
That could be the April Fool's update.
Oh, I would love to do an episode about bread. If you want to hear more about bread, just stop by Twitch, stop by Discord. Most of my pictures are there. But let's move on to some last Epoch related stuff, just to make sure that everyone who is watching this, listening, if this is your source of content, I want to make sure that you have what you need. So first things first, let's go ahead and post this in chat so people have it in case they're watching live. We got a couple pieces of news regarding multiplayer. If you missed it, we know that multiplayer is going to be March 9th of 2023. So about 4 months from now, we will be playing multiplayer. But on top of that, there's a couple other dates that you should know about. In January, the end of January, so about 2 months from now, there is going to be an invitational. The language that the devs used, it sounds like YouTubers, content creators, podcast hosts are going to be invited to play multiplayer on the beta, to stream it, to talk about it, and like no NDAs or anything, just like, you know, promote the game as much as possible. Maybe Dread, you and I are going to be able to get in on that.
Maybe. We'll see.
It'll
be much like the Zizarin Steel Mage thing that happened a while back.
I have a feeling that it's going to be much more wide open than that. But speaking of more wide open, on top of that, just like the next week, on February 2nd through 12th, there's going to be everybody on the server. So there's going to be 10,000 people on the multiplayer server. It's like a light stress test is what it sounds like to me. And then after that, March 23rd through 26th, the end of March, is going to be beta for everyone. So everyone can go on. It's kind of like the soft launch of 0.9, but it's still a beta. So, but isn't 0.9 the multiplayer beta? In any case, 0.9, March 9th, that is the most important date for everyone to know. I'm excited. It feels like Last Epoch actually exists. We haven't had news for such a long time. Like, I like this game. Can I play it, but also have a reason to play it? Damn.
Yeah, as someone who plays it a little too much, I definitely exhausted my sources of entertainment within the game. So
I make jokes and like, you know, sometimes people come into Twitch chat and they're like, hey, like, is Last Epoch worth playing? Is it worth the money? Like, it's $35 instead of free, like Path of Exile. And first of all, I kind of forget the Last Epoch costs money because I feel like it's such a good return on investment. But my joke is it's got about 3,000 hours worth of content right now. So if you're going to buy the game right now, you're not going to play 3,000 hours before March 9th. So if you want to play the game right now, you're fine. If you want to buy the game right now, you're totally fine. You're going to have a great time. You're going to have tons of stuff to do. But like for me, like after that 3,000 hour mark, I was like, am I playing this game because it's fun? Am I playing this game because I'm a YouTuber? Am I playing this game because I'm a content creator? Like what am I doing in here? But 3,000 hours, like, it's pretty good for a game. But once we get multiplayer, once we get skill visuals, once we get skill reworks, once we get, you know, new stuff, new items, new uniques, once we get the multiplayer mechanics that are coming out in 0.9 as well, then there's just going to be like a plethora. There'll be many, many things to be doing in Last Epoch. And I'm looking forward to just totally no-lifing. I've taken the day off of work. Oof, can't wait.
Yeah, I'm very hyped for some of the things that I've seen so far. Obviously, I'm a little disappointed by the date and how far away it is, but that's more like the disappointment of a child complaining that Christmas is like 6 years away or whatever. So it's not like of malice or anything. I'm just like, come on, because it's like a big thing for me because this has been such a big part of my life for so long now. I know it sounds pathetic to say that, but I've been a part of this community for what now, 4 years now, and it's been my career, my job, my life, and all that for a long time. Like, sure, I'm off playing like Path of Exile and stuff like that, but this is the game that got me into what I love and do. So it's just like, I want the excuse to play it more. And this update definitely looks like it's exactly what I'm looking for. And they're definitely taking the time that they have to the fullest advantage.
I'm not going to blame them unless things go wrong. If things go wrong, I will blame everybody.
Oh,
But
goodness
so
gracious.
far, I'm still hopeful. I wish I could play the game right now, but it is what it is.
We'll just blame Flintler.
I will happily blame Flintler. I have seen the Diablo 4 release date come up every once in a while. So Diablo 4 is going to be out in April of 2023.
Yeah, that's a little spooky. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I've heard the EHG devs say about that is like, you know, they know about Diablo 4. They like playing action RPGs. They're excited for that game too. But what I've heard is, in their words, a rising tide rises all ships. So if one game does well, another game's going to do well. They're not competing 1-to-1 with Diablo 4. They happen to be releasing 0.9 a month before the full release of, you know, Diablo 4, but it sounds like they're calm, rational human beings, which is bad for clickbait, but good for me because it makes me like them more. So I'm hopeful for how the launch is going to go.
My only problem with it is going toe to toe with all this. It definitely is going to hurt the game in the short term, but I don't think it's going to be that much of a deal in the long term because the thing is, I've just noticed in general, people just come back to the game anyways whenever they get bored of anything else. It's always that game that's in the background that, you know, like, oh, I'm bored, let's go play this now. And that'll probably be what multiplayer ends up being for a lot of these people as well.
And that could also be like what Diablo ends up being too. So
oh, goodness gracious.
I don't know. I'm not concerned about it. It seems like in the world of action RPGs, there's never a good time to release because there's always a League launch or there's always a Diablo 4 or a Diablo Immortals or a Torchlight Infinite League. It's like there's always something going on. At some point, you just got to commit and say, we're on the scoreboard. We're going to do it at this date. I'm not moving. And I like that they use the word date locked. So lock it in. Hopefully March 9th is a unwavering date in the calendar for them.
I mean, like, it's just funny because it's like we've been we've had multiple times where it's like, oh, it's this year, it's that year, and it's like, oh, it's finally locked.
Finally. So let's talk about why we're excited for this upcoming patch. We have notes that you and I want to go through, but I'm going to keep scrolling through this webpage as well. Remember, this is the same page that we linked in chat, and this will be in the description of the video too. So let's scroll down past the upcoming events. We talked about that a little bit. The first thing that you said you wanted to talk about is actually a bit lower on this page. You said that you were excited for some skills. So how about you tell me which of these skills you're excited about? I see swipe, shield rush. What do you want?
Swipe.
You want swipe?
So,
oh my god, swipe.
So one of the reasons why Last Epoch multiplayer has been pushed back, if a lot of you don't know, is because they don't want to just introduce a patch that just adds multiplayer, right? They don't want to do that. They want to add a content patch with it because they want their, quality seal of approval on it. So they've been busy at work adding a bunch of stuff. And one of the things that they added, I really like, they reworked Spirit Wolves for swipe. So if you don't know, Spirit Wolves is a proc off of swipe. You hit enemies with swipe and you proc Spirit Wolves. And it used to scale with your stats. And it was really strong. It used to deal a lot of damage. It was really strong. Any crit swipe, any poison swipe build used it. Now, the devs deemed that they did not want that to be the nature of the skill. So what they did was they swapped it and made it so that it scaled off of minion stats. Like just generic minion stats. Like no minion stats whatsoever, just generic minion stats. And it was one of the worst things since Perry's sourdough bread. No, I'm joking.
Buddy, don't fight me like that.
And,
come on.
No, it was terrible, though. It was terrible. Like McMagic, the person who I trust as the person who plays Beastmaster way more than anyone else on this planet, he was like, it's complete trash. And thankfully, they realized that, and they fixed it. Now, what did they do? They made it so that the Spirit Wolves, they are shot out of your doggies. Like, you swipe, you hit something, and your wolves, they all shoot projectiles at enemies, and it scales with their stats. Meaning that not only do you get extra clear with wolves with using swipe, you're also benefited for actually being in the fray with your wolves, which is great because that's the theme of Beastmaster, and it also gives you a way of scaling your stats with your minions, because what you can do is you can double dip on stuff like Aspect of the Shark, which will probably get nerfed, where you can get a butt ton of attack speed, and since you're attacking, all of these projectiles will hit the target, and it's going to do a beluga amounts of damage.
It seems like this kind of quote unquote double, like when you say double dipping, people get real excited and they sit up in their seat. This is what a hybrid minion plus melee Beastmaster character should be. I'm
this is what it's
specifically excited for this interaction because it looks so good.
Yeah, this is like legitimately what Beastmaster should be built around. Also, as well, it's got great MTX potential.
Yeah, so we know that currently they shoot out of every wolf that you have, and they shoot spirit wolves. If you convert them to squirrels, the squirrels do shoot squirrels out of their mouths, which is amazing. And currently, it's shotguns on single target. Maybe that'll change, but we did have a dev confirm that for us. Yeah. Currently, it works like that. Don't get too excited, or else they're going to change it. Just act sad. Act sad about it.
If anything, the scroll version is going to get nerfed because, oh my god, they don't need extra stuff.
I want the MTX that converts them into cats, and then we can have like cats shooting cats, like cats on crit, cats on crit on crit. I don't know. It just sounds great to me. Can't wait for MTX in this game, by the way.
Yeah.
So we also wanted to talk a little bit about the updated visuals. Not only do we have spirit cats and spirit wolves and spirit squirrels, but we have updated visuals for Swipe, Shield Rush, Rive, Harvest, Reaper form. Finally, not just looking like a weird backpack because your character bugs out and creates
Reaper
both a human model.
Looked like a floating piece of toilet paper.
Yeah, Reaper form right now looks pretty bad. But this one makes me want to play more liches, which is great because Lich is busted.
Yeah. Hopefully that'll get changed eventually.
Harvest, it looks beautiful. I don't ever want to play it until it gets better, but it looks great. Let's keep scrolling. These visuals, there's a lot of like little videos and like little GIFs here that I'm going to show because they look so good. Shield Rush is one that we can specifically talk about. Not only does it look like a freight train, Shield Rush currently has a bug with it where if you have the return node where like it returns your mana but it costs your life and it has no cooldown, if you spam right click with that as fast as you want because you think that that's how it works, sometimes it doesn't refund mana and you end up going negative on mana because it doesn't refund your mana. So it kind of sucks. That functionality, it sounds like, because a dev told me, it sounds like that functionality has been fixed. So if you like right-clicking as fast as possible on your Bleed Shield Rush build, I think you're really gonna like Shield Rush in the future.
I love it so much. Assuming that Shield Rush doesn't get nerfed into the ground, because I could see that coming.
No, they would never nerf Shield Rush. It's bad. I mean, it's bad. Why would you ever? Come on.
Oh, Reimer just confirmed it has been fixed. It has been fixed. Reimer just confirmed in chat here. Hi, Reimer. How's it going?
Hi, Reimer. All right, so let's see. Dev said on today's stream that Rive's getting
that's not a build. Ignore that.
Let's look at Rive as well. We have the Rive at the end of the Shield Rush. This character uses Rive, so we have this nice little visual here. Sounds like it's getting a mini rework. I dipped out of the last half an hour of the dev stream, so if there's additional information about that, feel free to type that in Twitch chat right now. I would love to hear what that is.
They're gonna finally cap the Executioner node. No. That's like the most fun node in the tree.
My time playing Rive after 2 years of playing this game, I actually really like Rive. It's like one of my favorite melee skills right now. I think it's very, very cool. All right, so we talked about Swipe, squirrels on squirrels on squirrels, Shield Rush Rive with some Harvest, some Reaper form. There's something else that I wanted to talk about after this. Is there any other visual stuff you want to talk about, Dread?
The Tomb of Moridatus. I like that one.
The Morditis tomb. You like this thing down here?
Yeah.
These visuals are so
I like
good.
that they made it look like it's morning. It literally looks like it's morning. Like I need a cup of coffee. Actually, 1 second.
Wait, did you just leave to get coffee?
No, I asked.
No, it is beautiful. I wanna scroll up. It would be so rude of me not to show these visuals. Look at these. Look at the giant purple void Hulk coming out of the ground, just like whoa, 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 whoa. If this is like a visual in game, sweet. If this is only part of a movie for like advertising purposes, for promotional materials,
this
fine.
Is so
like
100% the 0.9 trailer. It's so
Speaking of the 0.9 trailer, have you seen?
Oh, Sir Free. Oh my God, Sir Free, the squirrel man. We should show him the squirrel thing.
We'll talk about the squirrel thing for a second, but I want to show this to the people in chat here. This movie here, this boom, the void worm coming up out of the ground looks amazing. Can't wait to see this.
Very menacing.
Oh, it looks so good. But let's touch one more time. Sir Free for All is one of my mods. He's also the person who made a very, very popular squirrel build showcase, kind of pushing it to its extreme. So let's re-mention that if you're playing Swipe and you have squirrels, the squirrels will shoot squirrels out of their mouths. So just reminder that there's some sweet stuff coming in 0.9. After that, let's switch gears just for a moment. I'm gonna highlight this webpage. Dread, you were so excited to finally find this webpage that we want to post this in chat as well. Let's go copy paste right this. And this is a lot of information in case you've missed anything that's ever happened on the dev stream. If you're looking for artwork, if you're looking for videos, teasers, spoilers, anything like that, it is all compiled here on Andrew Tilley's link. So this was linked as well at the bottom of the multiplayer information. So they are also giving a shout out to Andrew because he does a great job compiling this information and making sure that everybody has it. So, Drew, is there anything you want to say about this?
Yeah, the reason why I'm bringing this up is because of the fact that there are a lot of people that don't watch the dev streams, so they do not know about any of this, right? So I get asked a lot, Dread, why is multiplayer taking so long, right? And stuff like that. Why is development taking so long? Well, if you don't know, recently, EHG, recently a part of their company was whatever you want to call it, bought out by Tencent so that they could make a better game and they could invest more into their game. And this is the product of that right here. All of these animations, like the new Bone Golem one specifically, I really like that one. Like all of this is because they were able to get all of that, right? And essentially they've realized that, like, okay, we got all of this set up ready. Let's use this time to remake the game into something that we're proud of, and it's beautiful. And oh my God, it is. And it makes me angry because whenever someone's like, oh my God, like multiplayer, why are they taking so long? And it's like, well, they just haven't even seen any of this. And it's like, they've been working so hard on everything else in the game because they're trying to make it into a beautiful game, and they're doing a very good job with that.
I often feel so people tell me to play video games all the time. They're like, why don't you play this? Why don't you play this indie game? Why don't you play this early access thing? Why don't you play this roguelike? And I'm so hesitant to play a good handful of them just because of the artwork. Like the games where I'm hesitant about the art and the art ends up being amazing, those are like the exception. Those are definitely not the rule. So I mentioned that I was playing Moonlighter recently, and Moonlighter, like, it's a pixel art. It's like the top down, like Pokemon angle. I'm not really into pixel art, but Moonlighter was beautiful, and it had really, really good animations in it. And the reason that it stands out so much is that it looks so good, and I wasn't expecting that. Yeah. The same thing with Frostpunk, the other game that I've been playing recently. Like, the art is just amazing when you sit down and you look at it. I want my video games to look good.
Bring up the Harvest and the other forum posts. I want to, like, that's a very good example of this.
Scroll up real quick.
Yeah, and the Harvest one. That's a good example of what you're talking about.
It's like it's got this like nice snappy motion to it. It comes back to you. Like you're gonna be playing this character for like 1,000 hours, you know? Like,
well, I mean, it should depends, look good. It's Harvest. Oh, Reimer, while you're here, any Harvest changes? Are we gonna get some
Trying
harvest
to
love?
milk the devs. Let the devs be here in peace. Don't milk them. All right, we're going to keep some artwork up in the background, but we're going to move on to something that I wanted to touch on. So we have multiplayer coming out. You might be asking yourself, like, how is the trade going to be? What's the economy going to be? And we can talk about a couple of those things. We don't have too many details, so we'll talk about the things that we do know, okay? First things first, what really stood out to me was how they're dealing with the monolith of fate. So you could have 4 people in a party together. You're dealing with one person's monolith web. So how do you deal with clicking on a node that gives you exalted helmets? Does it give 4 like exalted helmets to everybody there? Is that the premier damage or like the premier farming strategy? Like, do you go farm other things first, then everyone groups up for the exalted nodes? EHG really wanted to make sure that when your intent is to play in a party with your friend, that you are in a party with your friend. You're not just farming at different places not in a party together, but you're in a Discord call. They didn't want that. If you're playing multiplayer and you want to be in a party, you are in a party, and that's like the best strategy for you. And I like that approach. So what they ended up doing with the Monolith of Fate, at least what they posted in this patch, in these notes here, is if you have 4 people, let's use 2 people. Let's say me and Dread. So I'm the owner of the party, and Dread's along for the ride. So I'm going to click on a exalted helmet node, and Dread's going to join me for the exalted helmet node. We complete it. We pop out of the node. I get my exalted helmets. Dread, on the other hand, gets something else. Dread gets a pop-up that says, would you like option number 1 or would you like option number 2? And it is totally independent of what we just completed. It could be exalted helmets, but it could be rare swords. It could be a unique item. It could be a set unique wand. It could be any of those things, assuming that they're like monolith appropriate.
Yeah.
And I think that's really good because it's actually not clear whether you want to be the party owner or you want to be the person who's just tagging along. And I think that's a really good system because like even if you're just tagging along, you are still making decisions about the kinds of things that you want. I think it's a really nice approach.
I really like it because I have been a very outspoken person about the current monolith web, and I know there are changes coming and all that. And I've talked about it a bunch. I've made videos about it because there are certain things I dislike about it, and to the point where people will go and harass Mike with my opinions, which is hilarious, mind you. I'm sorry.
Don't harass the
that.
devs.
Yeah,
don't
please
do it.
Don't harass them on my behalf, please. So one of the biggest problems with multiplayer is like if you have a party of like 4 people and you go to an exalted helmet monolith, and if it works like how you would expect it to work in a normal game, right? You'd click on the node and everyone would get exalted helmets. That is insane. That's multiplying an exalted node by 5. That is ridiculous. That is overpowered. That would make party play so much stronger than normal play because you'd be like, hey guys, I got an exalted helmet. Let's quintuple it.
Mm-hmm.
It's
and
terrible.
compare that to like thinking about playing in a trade league in Path of Exile and like am I doing something wrong by not calling in like an MF color? Am I doing something wrong by not juicing my maps? Am I doing something wrong by not playing with my body? Like, can I play in a trade league and feel good about myself if I'm just playing as one person? I think at this point we got to say like, yeah, these are 2 different games. They're allowed to be different. Let's talk about trade. We do know a little bit of extra information about trade for 0.9 and last Epoch. We didn't know this in the past. We know now. It's been confirmed. There will be trade. And the wording is a little bit specific for 0.9. They've said in patch 0.9, there will be some way to transfer items from one player to another in your party. So if you're outside of a party, are you allowed to trade with them? Can you only trade with the people who are in your party at that time? That's what we know so far. So you can, if you're playing with your buddy, if I'm playing with Dread, we can trade gear back and forth. Can we only trade it that day? If we log off, log back on, and then party up, can we still trade with each other? We're not sure about all the details. But there's going to be some kind of trading for you people out there who want to, play with your buddy, play with your girlfriend, play with somebody, and just like trade items that drop on the ground.
Yeah, and that's to combat certain practices in the current ARPG community, i.e., RMG, you know, and that will definitely make it significantly harder for anything to happen because um, I'm going to assume that you can't just trade items willy nilly. I don't know how that's going to feel though.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So another nice tidbit, what like voice clip or something that we have from EHG is just saying that playing the economy has never been their desired primary method for acquiring new gear. There's a nice clip that we have from the dev stream from Mike the dev in the past saying that if you want to be a if you want to be like a market manipulator, if you want a game where you can have an economy simulator and that's what you want out of this ARPG, then Last Epoch is probably not the game for you. They've said that you can't just play the economy, you can't just trade in order to get all of your best gear. That's what they're trying to avoid.
And a good example of this
I'm okay
is,
with it. I'm like it. I like it so far.
yeah. It is sad for people like Surfree and I who like the economy in certain games. But the thing is, there's a difference, right? So Path of Exile is balanced around Trade League, right? Drop chances are balanced around Trade League, right? Like for instance, Starforge, I guess, since they're buffing the crap out of that. Oh, the Starforge drop chance is balanced around the fact that there's going to be hundreds of people farming it every day, right? Now, and being able to trade it freely. Now, with Last Epoch, they've gone with the approach of making everything very easy to get you for yourself. Like if you want to go get a 3LP legendary item, you have a way of going about it. You can target farm it. You have ways of influencing the game to allow you to get it quicker. And it's much more consistent than let's say like a div card system from Path of Exile, right? And the problem that arises from this is if items are easy to get in that regard, right? Like for instance, it just takes me like 10 tries to get a Wings of Argentus, right? Then a Wings of Argentus is going to be worth squiddly squat on like a market, right? Even though it's a really strong item and a really popular item, right? It doesn't matter because the drop rates, because they want to make sure people can see the items that they want to get. Now, that's why they have to limit trade because you can't have both. Because what will happen is if you're in like the trade, quote unquote, like, league, whatever you want to call it, if you drop like anything, it's bound to be worthless if everything is freely tradable in a system like Last Epoch where I could just go farm whatever I want. Like, oh, I want like a Vessel of Strife, it'll probably be like a Glyph of Despair or whatever. It's not that expensive in that kind of economy. So it's definitely a lot more of you're going to have to go and farm most of the stuff that you want. Now with this in-party trade stuff, it's nice because it makes it so you actually want to play with your friends. Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Playing with friends is fun and like killing them accidentally with like Infernal Shade or whatever. That's fun, right? Don't get me wrong. But the problem is if you ended up dropping stuff in the party and you couldn't like it was like, hey, Perry, you're playing Cold Dot Werebear. I just dropped like a exalted elemental damage over time dragon staff. You want it? You can do that. And I think that's fine. Now, one system I would like to point out, and I know people from EHG are in chat now. I really like Ghost Lore's system when they go about this. Now, if you don't
That's
know,
such a weird system to
just
call
wait.
out,
I
huh?
know, just wait.
Yeah,
It
okay,
works a
okay.
lot for Last Epoch. So in Ghost Lore, there's no actual player-to-player trading. So what you do is you find an altar in Ghost Lore. It's an RPG. It's a really good one, made by a bunch of cool dudes. I've talked to them, and you go up to an altar, right? And you sacrifice an item. Now, you will get a random item instead that another player sacrificed, right? So, for instance, I didn't want this 3LP like Drots release because it's bad, right? I'm going to sacrifice it to the altar, right? And these are like one use things, right? You have to like go find them and stuff. It's like limited. And you will get a random item that a different person deleted in their altar because they wanted a different, like they wanted a chance at a different item.
And
And
it's
it
like
would,
tiered based on like a power system that's built into the
Mhm,
game, like rarity and
yeah.
stuff. It's a
And
really weird system.
yeah,
I'm surprised you like it, huh?
I like it because I think it would fit Last Epoch. It would be a really cool dungeon.
Oh, it'd be like
it'd
the
be a
other
Gamba
travelers
dungeon.
from other
Mhm,
timelines. Ooh, okay,
yeah.
okay. I hear the
Obviously,
theme you're going
there
for.
are problems with it, but it's just a system I point. Oh, really? You
That's
guys
so
have talked
funny.
about it already.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Well, if anyone wants to see what that is, the game is called Ghost Lore, all one word. It's like a Southeast Asian Filipino action RPG. It's kind of like an old school retro feel. It's cool. It's definitely a cool game. You play that game for like an hour or something, you'll know exactly what Dred's talking about. I want to talk about one more thing regarding multiplayer mechanics. We talked about the monolith and what I really liked about that, how there's like one person, the party owner gets to pick the node, and other people get like a pick two, or like a two pick one kind of a window that pops up. We talked about trade and what we know about trade so far. And then the other thing that I want to call out is the dungeon. So the dungeon is one person brings a key, the other people in the party will come along with them. And I like that they've committed to this so far. If you die, you're dead. And you don't just get to rejoin. So the dungeon is like this bite-sized piece of content. It's only going to last, 5 minutes or so. And if Dred's playing with me and Dred dies, he's got to go do something else for a couple minutes because I'm going to keep going. I like that. I think it's good.
Or if you're hardcore, you're gone for good, buddy.
If you're dead, you're dead. No, I think it's a good system. So I hope that the things that we like are going to continue to be in the game. There's not too much else in this info dump that we haven't talked about. We talked about the models. We talked about like the new skills, what those are going to look like. There's a little bit of extra information in here if you want to page through this yourself, specifically about the rest of the monolith navigation and what their goals were. And then if you're interested in the events that they laid out, that'd be a nice thing for you to take a look at. All right, Dred, we've made it, and it took less than an hour and a half through our prescribed list of topics for what's going on with Last Epoch right now.
Yeah.
What's on your mind?
What's on my mind? Well, I want to commemorate a member of the community here. He has been a very strong member of the community, and I am so proud of him. He has every day shown so much like devotion to the game that I think he deserves a badge of honor for this.
I feel
If
like
you
this is
don't
going
know
to be
who
a
I'm
huge
talking
juke.
about,
What is this?
in the Discord, in the Last Epoch official Discord, there is a command. You can do exclamation mark multiplayer, and it will bring up with the date, yada, 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 the last dev post. Now, for the last few months, I think months to a year, there has been one person that has literally been there every day, like clockwork, posting exclamation mark multiplayer every day. And that man's name is Jotar. In the beginning, we thought he was like a troll. We thought he was a troll, right? We thought he was a troll. But after a while, we realized that he was not a troll. He was a saint. And he was, I think, one of the catalysts to us finally getting the date for multiplayer. I sent you the thing, Perry, so you can look at it. But yeah, I think he deserves some kind of cameo in the game. Like, you have like an annoying crow, right? Or something like that. Something. Just something
Put some
really annoying
NPC in a town that's just like, I really wish I had friends. I really wish I had friends.
Yeah. Yeah, just constantly berate you and
Oh,
complain to you or
no,
something.
it would be a shout out to like Diablo 2. Like, couldn't you have like hirelings in Diablo 2? Is that a thing?
Yeah.
It'd be like, hey, do you want to party up? Hey, do you want to party up? Hey, do you want?
Yeah. I know it's funny, but at the same time, you got to admire his like persistence. He's done this every day. I've checked. I went and searched his name in the
Have you seen
Discord.
his comment history?
Yes, it's literally just exclamation
It's
mark
literally
multiplayer.
just
He hasn't
exclamation
said
point multiplayer
anything
for like
else.
years.
He hasn't said anything else.
That's
He
the
hasn't
only
said
thing he
anything
says.
else. That's all he says. And as you could tell with Reimer's not like this emote, he very well knows who that is.
I love it. All right. So we don't need a podcast to run for an hour and a half. I think we've touched on everything that we want to touch on. Multiplayer is coming out. There's some events coming up before March. The beginning of March is going to be multiplayer for everybody. We know that Bleed Shield Rush is going to be the best build that you could possibly play because it's kind of insane.
Don't tell him that.
It's not going to be a good skill. Don't bother nerfing it. No one's going to play it. Yeah. All right. I think that's going to do it then. This will be probably the shortest podcast that we've done, but I'm excited. I feel like I have enough time to get excited right now and then like get it all out of my system. And then I'll just get excited again once January comes around. Because if there's going to be an invitational for streamers and YouTubers to talk about this game, I'd really like to be a part of that. I think it'd be great. The reason that I never signed up to be in the Last Epoch beta, like the NDA stuff that's going on right now, is like I host this podcast with you here, Dread. I want to make YouTube videos. I want to stream. And I don't want to put myself in a position where like I need to play the game off stream and then also not talk about it on stream. I didn't think like I was the right person for that. But,
yeah, and for me, my thing with it was I would have tried, but I realized very quickly that it would be very irresponsible for me as someone who makes content for the game to directly take advantage of the fact that I'd have info behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
So I decided to just simply just not apply and just move on. So I'm waiting for stuff.
So, Dread, I think on behalf of everyone who's listening to this podcast right now, thank you so much for that deep, raspy voice that you've graced us with. This is just fantastic. I love it so much. But anyways, both for Dread and for myself, Twitch chat, thanks for being here live. If you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify, make sure to let us know where you're watching it so that we can make sure that you are getting this content in the best way possible, in the form that you need, and whatever else comes up, I suppose.
Yes. So, Dread, long live Rat City.
Long live Rat City. I hope we get more Rat City stuff in the future. We'll see. But Dread, thanks for being here.
Chat. Oh, that's perfect. Jotar could be an NPC in Rat City. He could be like a rat.
All right, we're getting out of here.
Jotar. Yes, yes. All right, bye, guys.
Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time.